Gazump and Gazunder, not fictitious characters from a fantasy novel about hobbits and a faraway magical land, but actually two rather nasty words in the estate agency vocabulary. Many people have been gazumped in a property transaction. It's the issue whereby you make an offer on a house and prior to exchange of contracts, the seller asks you for more money. Often this is because they see the market rising and they want to play catch up, or it can be because they've been hedging their bets and have actually kept the house on the market trying to find an alternative buyer whilst the legal work has been ongoing unbeknown to you. It's a pretty despicable practice really, and very, very unethical, but not illegal unfortunately. And also it's often the agent that gets blamed for these instances, even though the agent is often just a messenger that has to convey the bad news from a greedy seller. The conveyancing process in the UK also allows this type of problem to occur in that there is no contractual obligation between the buyer and the seller for many weeks into a transaction and until exchange of contracts. Up until that point, either the buyer or the seller can withdraw at will no matter what promises have been made and no matter what monies have been spent on surveys, lawyers, mortgage fees and so on. We estimate that almost £1 billion is wasted each year by buyers and sellers because of this lack of a joined up approach, and which unfortunately government seems to do nothing about. So that's gazumping. Gazundering, on the other hand, is the opposite of gazumping and is where the buyer submits a lower offer to the seller, often on the day of exchange of contracts, many weeks into the transaction. A pretty poor show indeed, and which can really cause stress and heartbreak for those at the wrong end of this. So how can you prevent being gazumped or by a buyer or gazundered as a seller? Well, unfortunately you can't, because the legal process allows it to happen. But don't blame the estate agent if it happens to you, as it really is seldom in the agent's best interest to jeopardise a sale by trying to squeeze another couple of £1,000s out of one party or another. Their personal commission as a traditional agent, after all, will be about £1 for every £1,000 that the price is increased by. Hardly worth their effort. Thankfully, the UK property market, though, at the moment is neither adversely strong or hugely weak, both of those being environments that encourage gazumping or gazundering. And so it doesn't happen much currently. But in the event of a more extreme buyer's market or a seller's market in the future, such questionable practices orchestrated by buyers and sellers could indeed return. So my advice, if such a gun is put to your head, is to call the bluff. Often the protagonist, as in life generally I find, will back down and give in. If not, hold your head up high and buy something else, or find another buyer. One with morals, perhaps.